Gather round, friends. It's time for Officials' Tales. Hosted by three retired sports referees that coaches throughout Northern Ohio knew as the Three Blind Mice. They are authors of the book called Officials' Tales. So let's meet the authors and your hosts, Jimmy Borgia, Rick Hall, and Don Nardecchia for today's edition of Officials' Tales. Now here's your host, Rick Hall.
Welcome everybody to Officials' Tales, our ongoing basketball updates and previews. And we got a great basketball coach from the area, Dave Hirschy, known for a really long time, and I can't wait to get him on. But got to get my brothers on here first. Nardo, what's going on? Hey, is it cold down in South Carolina?
Going again.
Looks like is it cold in South Carolina?
Is it cold in South Carolina? Well, it was cold this morning, but this afternoon, right now it's 42. The midday we had wall-to-wall sunshine here. It was beautiful, but chilly. It's one of those weeks of winter, which we get 2 or 3 of down here. They don't all come together either.
Well, that's usually how it goes. Yep. Speaking of not coming together.
Yay.
There's Jimmy. Look at the head on that dude.
Yes, sir. Look at there.
But when you're good looking like this, you can do that.
Jesus.
Grandmas love it.
That's right.
They love that.
Ask them.
They like his high heels, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love those.
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, let's bring on Dave. Hey, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, fellas. Hey, Nardo, it's wall-to-wall sunshine here, too. It's just 8 degrees wind chill.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, that's that Mason-Dixon line for you. You get south of it, and good things happen when the sun comes out.
Hey, it's great seeing you guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
A really long time.
Thanks for having me. So,
you know, it's been a minute since we got a chance to work with you and talk to you on the floor. And I know it's we've been kind of watching along the way how things are going, but to start this off, hey Nardo, you got something you want to talk to Dave about right out of the gate?
Well, you know, when we talked a little bit last week, he tells me that this is his 42nd year in education.
Nice.
And that's pretty amazing, because we remember back to the beginning of you being in education, and it's the time just really, it's amazing how fast it's come along.
I'll be honest with you. We had an in-service last week, and it was all on AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, well, they're talking to NI, no intelligence. You know, I'm like, what the heck? So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm doing that timeline thing in my head. And when I started at Plymouth Shiloh in 1984, in the summer of 84, they didn't have a Xerox machine there. And when I asked Dave Dunn if I could look at some tape, he said, well, you could look at a projector, because all we have is film. So luckily I knew how to run a projector, because I taught, that was taught to us in college in a media class. So I'm watching old game film on a projector. And now, all the things we have now at our disposal, it's just unreal how things have changed in so many different ways, as you guys well know.
Well, before we get, let's throw the rest of this 42nd year in education to the end of the show, and let's start with your background and Willard boy and all, but just some of your good memories that occasionally you may recall to help you through situations when you got into education. As early as those grade school years.
Oh yeah. Well, both my parents were educators. My dad was a principal, then became assistant superintendent, then superintendent. He was an athletic director here. So I was around the school all the time, and my mom was going back to school to be a teacher. So I grew up with educators, and Willard was a great place to grow up at that particular time, because basketball was king. And it's when Coach Haas came here in the early 70s. I was about 8 years old and went to all the camps and was part of all the hoopla and all the fun that came with the successful basketball program that he built. And it made going through school a lot of fun, and being part of something, it made it real special. So that was the beginning. I got the junior high gym was my living room because my dad had the keys. So my buddies and I played. We spent a lot of time in the junior high playing ping pong and air hockey and a lot of basketball, a lot of goofing around and so on and so forth. I wish I would have applied myself academically as much when I was in that building as I did athletically. But no, it was a great great town to grow up in, and I had great parents, and my brother was a little bit younger than I was, so we got to have fun, getting him into sports and those kinds of things as well. So I had a great upbringing.
Well, then they sent you off to college.
Yeah, to the Harvard of the Midwest, Ohio Northern University.
Absolutely.
I had aspirations of playing baseball there. That was the main reason I went, to be quite honest. And they had a very good baseball program, Herb Strayer, in the early 80s. But they weren't looking for somebody with a 67-mile-an-hour fastball that couldn't break glass. So, and my grade point average was lower than my earned run average. So I knew I was in trouble. So I had to apply myself academically. So I gave up on the dreams of baseball. I regret that. I wish I would have stuck with it, but I just felt at the time that I was there to get an education, and I couldn't bring home too many more 1.9 GPAs first quarter, or I was going to end up at UD, which is at the University of Dayton. It would have been the University of Donley's, laying up and stacking books, and I wasn't cut out for that kind of hard work, so I had to apply myself. So went to Ohio Northern, had a great 4 years there, and majored in education. I minored in psychology for a quarter and a half, but there was a little bit too much reading. But come to find out that minor in psychology paid off, because in coaching, you got to be a psychologist a lot of the times, and I've applied that here a lot lately. So, no, had a great run at Northern, and started applying for jobs all over the state. My mom was getting ill at the time, and I wasn't sure about her health. I wanted to stay closer to home, not necessarily come back to Willard, but stay in the area. And it just so happened that there was a job opening at Plymouth, because a man named Keith Diebler had just left there. And that opened up a teaching position, as well as an assistant varsity basketball position and assistant football. And I had to do girls track for a while. So junior high track. So, hey, back then, it was funny because Mr. Staggs was our superintendent. And when I interviewed for the job, he said, hey, he goes, I know you're interested in sports and so on and so forth. I said, absolutely. He said, well, we got an assistant football job opening. And I said, sign me up. And then they said, we got an assistant basketball job opening. I said, sign me up. He said, in the spring, I'm going to need you to do some girls track. And I looked at him like, he says, how bad do you want this job? I go,
oh, God.
Sign me up. So, because I really wanted to get into baseball, which I eventually did, but it was great. Back then, coaching 3 sports was a breeze. It's so funny when you're 23 as opposed to 63, the energy that you have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and the patience that you have.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's the part that changes. I think it's the patience.
Yeah.
And that definitely. And being a teacher and stuff, that's a special gift on its own.
Yeah.
We got a lot of friends that are teachers, and every time I see them, I'm like, God bless you. I go out to the rec and I see like they bring, like busloads of kids out there for like an open gym day. And it's like a zoo. I mean, it's like, I'm like, holy smokes. Could you imagine dealing with this every single day?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That ain't for me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the job that I currently hold, I've been a dean of students now going on 12 years. And my job is basically nickel dime discipline, dealing with kids. I do a lot of the attendance here and so forth, deal with both middle school and high school, so grades 6 through 12. So you get a lot of kids coming in and out. But I tell you what, I feel like I've made more of an impact with this job than I did in the classroom. And I thought I made a little bit of an impact in the classroom, but I've really enjoyed this job. And it's been a godsend, because it's going to be tough leaving it, because this is going to be, this is it. So, but I have really, really enjoyed doing that part of it, because you deal with a lot of kids that don't have a whole lot. And, you can really, sometimes you get through to them and it's a huge victory. It feels like a Friday or Saturday night. It really does. but there's other times too where it doesn't work out and you got that pit in your stomach, and that too feels like Friday and Saturday night,
Oh, yeah.
on game nights. So
Yeah, I think with kids, they're like clay. If you can actually mold them,
mhm.
if they're pliable and you can mold them and get them on the right path, I think that's a blessing. But
Yeah,
like you said, some kids are just, there's nothing you can do. Same
no,
thing we deal with on the floor,
yeah,
which is why one coach called me unapproachable once, because I had a problem with one of his kids and he didn't like the way I handled it. So
yeah, yeah,
literally I told the kid, he kept talking crap to me, and I said, look, you're either going to straighten up, or by the time this whistle gets to my mouth, you're leaving.
yeah, right.
I'm like,
And
that was the end of it. That's what
yeah,
set it off.
Rick, there's still room for tough love, and I see it every day. Coach Bedingfield does a great job with our kids, but we've got a standard that we uphold, and
Sure.
and we're not going to bend, and it's worked for us, and I've been very fortunate to coach with Joe because we have similar philosophies, and there's times you gotta lay it down on them pretty hard.
Mhm.
But they got to understand it's not personal. It's to try to get them better, to try to get them over a barrier that they didn't think that they could get over. I remember Rob Sheldon when I coached with him. He used to say that all the time. I'm going to put you through an obstacle, put you through a set of standards and obstacles that you didn't think you could get over, and you're
Mhm.
gonna get over the bar, and we did. So I think there is a lot of room still for tough love. But yeah, it's not getting any easier. That's for certain.
Well, we see that too in sports. I mean, we see all the videos, and it's like, holy smokes, with the some of it's the kids, but a lot of it's the parents, and I mean, a little bit of the coaching, but I mean, we if you go back and watch some of our older videos where we're going through some of these, it's
Hmm.
like, what the heck? So, I mean, maybe that's a question I got for you. From the beginning to now, what do you think has driven this fanatical change in the way that the parents and, well, your everyday fan, and maybe even some of the coaches view sports today?
Right here, game changer. Cell phones, social media,
Mhm.
computer, video games, Xbox. Rick, I got kids that come through here sometimes and they've gotten 2 hours of sleep. I said, my
Oh,
gosh, what's going on? Up all night on their Xbox, up all
Mhm.
night on their cell phones. Okay. And then
mhm.
if you go to a restaurant, it was interesting about a year or so ago. My girlfriend Lisa and I were going over to Scout and we went to BW3s. And there's a nice looking family, husband, wife, 2 children, and they didn't talk to each other for an hour.
Wow.
They're all on their video devices. So I so much of it, I think, and I'm going on a high horse right now, and I don't mean to, but
Well, that's fine. That's what we want.
it's
There.
I think it's a lack of communication, and I'm so glad that Governor DeWine banned cell phones in schools
Hmm.
because now kids are forced to talk to one another. They got to sit at a table at lunchtime and talk. For years here, they were on their cell phones and playing games, and then so much of the discipline that we deal with here at the school is. I'd hate to put a percentage, but I bet it's 80 to 85%. The discipline we deal with are kids coming in from the weekend with the
Hmm.
drama from the cell phones. And there's all kinds of that stuff going on.
Mhm.
I
Right.
always say, leave your baggage at the door. Don't bring your weekend into school on Monday. Start fresh. But yeah, we got a lot of that going on right now. It's unfortunate, but that's been a change, and it's also trickled into sports. I mean, you guys probably just saw that the big sports betting thing that's going on right
Oh, yeah.
now in college basketball.
It's crazy.
What a travesty. And
Mm.
it's just going to keep happening. And then you throw in NIL, you throw in the portal, you throw in all that crap, and I'm telling you what, I I don't know. I'm kind of afraid of where sports might be heading.
Well, I've
That's
talked
that's
to.
that's a thought in everybody's mind, I think, that sees the other side of this. It's
Yeah.
tough. By the way, you got a honeycomb or something on your hand, Rick? What the heck is that? I see. There's a
that
big
that
old
is
gold
a
thing up there.
that is a Stanley Cup ring that I created for the Las Vegas Knights. So I
Nice.
like to.
What's the
I like to.
occasion today? I thought
I
maybe you
just
had
felt
one
like
of the
wearing it. I was going to wear one of my Super Bowl rings because the Patriots were
yeah.
playing.
That's what
I
I
get all
thought the
theirs. So,
Patriots ring would be on today
well,
or
I
something.
thought about it, but then I'm like, we're playing, so let's not. I'm a little superstitious, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope I have a Packer one next year.
Well, you know,
you can see my cheese head up there, can't you? On the top of my.
Oh yeah. I see it up there.
You know, Dave, I actually did the last Packer ring. I was the one that created that. Yeah.
Did
I
you
actually
really?
have one of those.
See, for a price, he could probably get you the last stamping one.
Wow.
Maybe.
Be careful of the jewels, though. They'll be,
They might not stay in.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was the one where they actually gave me a stock, you know, for helping create them. And, you know, I'm actually one of the stockholders, if you air quotes, you know, if you want to call it that.
Well, I just, one of my good friends I grew up with who really kind of got me turned on to the Packers when we were kids, he's got stock in them too. His daughter's a dentist, so a couple Christmases ago for her Christmas present gave him part ownership. So I got a sweatshirt for him I saw online. It says owner and those black Packer letters of the Green Bay Packers. So I gave it to him last week, but we're playing Margaretta. I said, you can't wear it because it's green. So I said, I can't wear Packer gear or a Michigan State Spartan gear this entire week because it's green. So do not wear green to the game Friday night. And he didn't, but he wore it Saturday morning when he came into the gym. He brought his grandson in. So it looked pretty cool on him. But anyway.
And I hear that Margaretta's got quite a ball club this year.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They have been.
They absolutely do.
They've been a juggernaut for the last 4 years, you know, and with Julian and Judah and those guys and the role players are fantastic as well. Well-coached team, well-oiled machine. Nice basketball squad. They've been a tough pill to swallow for the last 4 years. That's for sure. Trying to prepare.
I tell you, Coach Keller over there, I go back with his dad.
Yeah,
we were going to school over at Firelands campus, and then later on officiating for him and for his son. That's quite a family over.
Yeah, Margaretta. I coached against Steve Senior when I was at Norwalk, and he was at Oak Harbor.
Yep.
And and young Steve's done a great job there, and they've got a good team, man. There's no doubt about it, and they're the kind of the cream of the crop in our league right now.
Well, yeah.
Well, you had 5-6 years at Plymouth schools.
Yeah, I was there for the first 3 years. I was Dave Dunn's JV/assistant varsity coach. And then he stepped down, and then I took over at the tender age of, 24. And thought I was ready. But I had the team, my group of seniors my first year I had as sophomores. And we won, I think, 11 or 12 games that year. That was the most they'd ever won. And I really liked that group. I thought this would be a great group to break in with. But being young and dumb, I learned on the job. That's for certain. And I wish I knew then what I know now. But like I said, I was young and probably immature at certain points. But I learned a lot. I really did. And I wouldn't trade those years for anything. My years at Plymouth. So, but it got to the point where they couldn't pass levies in like a lot of schools. And I was kind of on the teetering line, and my daughter was just born at that point. And this was in the late 80s. And I thought, I got to keep putting food on the table. So I had to apply elsewhere because I wasn't sure if I was going to get RIFT or not. So I was fortunate enough to come to Norwalk then in 1990. So that's what led me to Norwalk. And I was only at Norwalk for 4 years, but seemed probably like 40 for a lot of people over there. I made so many good friends. And
I was going to say, we where everybody knew
friends.
Your name in Norwalk was the Shamrock, and that was
in
those days.
I made up for my 20s in my 30s when I was at Norwalk.
You know, there was a lot of coaches that would stop by there. That was just the kind of place it was back then.
I love my teaching position. I work for Steve Sillo, and we're great friends to this day, very close friends, and loved my classroom situation. Basketball situation, we struggled for a while, but then along came Scott Spettle and Ryan Gross and that group, and Kevin Woodruff, and we got pretty good in a hurry, and made a good run my last couple years there, and really enjoyed it. So,
well, Rick, we got something to sell today.
Well, yeah, of course. We always have something to sell.
Let's take a pause here and do ourselves a favor, and then we'll come and pick up when Hirsch had to say goodbye to the truckers.
Yeah.
All right. Hang tight.
So,
Just,
for our
water,
chef,
right?
yeah, we have Stein's honey. Have you had Stein's honey
Oh,
before?
I used it on the big benefit for the new kitchen up at St. Paul when I did that.
Do you
Did
know
that.
they're the second largest honey producer in the state of
That
Ohio?
I did not know.
Right in Collins.
And I use that honey when I make my spaghetti sauce. So
Awesome. Yeah, so we sell local honey and you can refill it here. We
I
also
didn't know.
have maple syrup, we have hot honey, and Sherry Ralston is a local baker, and she has some seasonings and spices and sugars.
Right.
And then while you're making your sauce, making sure, I really hope you're not using those black plastic utensils when you make. Okay, good.
Plastic.
No,
No?
we don't do that here.
don't do plastic?
No,
Okay.
but we do have a selection of bamboo utensils that you can use when you are cooking or baking or any of those things that do not have all the chemicals and toxicity that some of our other things in the kitchen do.
Have to pick up some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, you found our kitchen section.
there we go.
And that's the Common Good, the home of the Officials Tales book and mugs. They were just on New Day Cleveland. Hopefully you caught that. And if you can't get there, you can always go to Amazon and buy our books, paperback, hardback, ebook. Now, without further ado, let me bring the guys back on. There's Nardo back in chilly South Carolina.
Yeah,
Lucky,
yeah,
you know
chilly,
what?
chilly.
Hey, it was snowing in Florida. I saw some video of that stuff.
some of that was supposed to graze us this morning, and when I got up at 7 o'clock, I looked at the weather app, and it showed the moisture was right by us. So I said, "I'm getting the coffee going. I'm going to sit and wait for it." Nothing at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that. Speaking of nothing at all, hey, there he is
Hey.
again.
Hey, will I be able to talk to Hirschy about his buddy Mark DiNucci before he left?
God. Well, we can start right off with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
Start right
There we
off.
go.
Let's just bring him out.
Yeah,
I just
Dave.
won $100 because I told my buddies, I said Jimmy Borgia will bring up Mark DiNucci's name guaranteed.
Did you give him odds? Did you give him odds?
No. I told
You could have made a whole lot of money.
I said Jimmy's the quiet one of the group, so he may not get time to bring it up. So
Yeah,
that's why I put
well.
100 on that.
It's just like I don't know if it was your first year or when it was, and it was like I had been assigned. Well, I wasn't assigned to it. Somebody double booked, and I filled in for him, and we were out to Western Reserve. They're playing Plymouth, and that's when I met Hirsch for the first time, and the guy that was working with me, he come in the locker room, and he must have had 900 patches on his warm-up jacket. I've been to this one, I've been to that camp, and blah blah. He's going on and on. I'm just sitting there like, what the hell? And then he goes, I'll be the referee, throwing it up. Well, like Don and Rick, they always tried to shove that off on me, so it didn't bother me. I said the only way it would bother me is if they would pay more. Then we got a problem. But no, the game gets going. We go in at halftime. We come out, and I don't think we were too far into the third quarter, and his buddy nailed his big boy for his fourth foul, and we're going. And towards the end of the game, all of a sudden, he comes flying out from the baseline with fist out like an airplane, and I'm thinking, what the hell's he got? And I go, oh, double foul. Well, it just happened to be the other one was on Hirsch's big boy, and he was done for the night. And as everything's going on, I could see Hirsch getting kind of worked up about it. And as the game horn sounded, I'm thinking, I'm going that way. And grab the ball, and I'm headed out the other way. And I turn and look over my shoulder to see where my partner was, and he's getting the law laid down to him by old Hirsch and blah, blah, blah. And finally, about 5 minutes later, he comes back in the locker room. He said, did you hear what he said? He said I was the worst thing that he ever seen in stripes. And he just went on and on. And I'm going to write him up to the superintendent. I'm going to write him up to the principal. And he must have had a list a mile long, as if he was writing to Santa Claus. And every time after that I saw Hirsch, I'd always say, I saw your good buddy, and he'd start laughing, and maybe from time to time he might tell me I'm number one, but I'd always got to give Hirsch a hard time about that. So
you guys know from being young officials and me being a young coach, like I said earlier, immature and stupid and do some things, but that night was first off, did you guys ever ref with him? I know Jim did, but did you two ever ref?
No, he refed in front of us, Jimmy and I, somewhere. I remember that.
Fostoria St. Wendland.
There you go. We walked in and we were like,
yeah, he did the JV game, didn't he?
Yeah, I was like, who is this guy?
Well, he kind of got his jollies out of running coaches, and I remember calling Smitty when I got home that night, and because Mike Smith and I are good friends, and he was at St. Paul, and we're about the same age, and so we kind of palled around together, and I vented to Smitty something fierce. Well, it just so happened about 2 or 3 weeks later, I must have been in Willard. I don't know if I was scouting or we were off. I can't remember, but I do remember I was at my parents' house, and WLKR was doing the game, and Smitty had just got teed up, and the place was going nuts. And I laughed. I said, I wonder if Danucci's doing his game. Sure as hell he was. Smitty that night says, you're never going to believe who was doing the game, Mark Danucci. And I said, oh, Christ. So he did write me up. But the thing was, he was playing checkers. I was playing chess because I knew it was going to happen, because I chased him off the floor. And not that I ever had speed, but I had speed that night. And I took the VHS tape, and we ran a copy of it, and I gave it to Mr. Stackhouse, who was the superintendent at Willard, and Jerry just happened to be on the OHSA board at the time. And I pled my case, and they smacked my hands. So I don't even think I got a letter. But bottom line is, young coaches out there, don't do the stuff that I did, because I don't want you to ever get in trouble. But that was one of those embarrassing nights, and he did get my my best player in foul trouble, and we lost him. I think he threw my best player's brother out that night too in the gym. So it was just another Friday night, man, with the Plymouth Big Red in the house.
Well, I tell you, we always started our talks off with coaches, with the average, the normal, are they properly equipped? Are you ready to go? Good luck. But we always said, we'll answer any question you have, but making statements, however, those will be handled completely different.
Right. Exactly.
But that we learned over the years. And, I think it's an art to be able to talk to coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand they're emotionally, invested in this, and they're charged. They've worked hard. They're invested in their children, and the best thing you can do is sometimes, I put my hands behind my back, and, Big Ryan over at Clyde, I can remember doing that with him. Yeah. And he was just blasting me, just like Greg over at Keystone, another big guy.
Yeah.
When Jimmy thought he saw something. But anyway, I was the guy that had to go tell Big Greg that, no, Jimmy only has one good eye. And that wasn't the one he was looking at. So
that's good.
Yeah. But those are the things. And I think that's, like we were talking earlier pre-show, these kids, they get in the game so quick now, they're not seasoned enough for a big Friday night game, with a lot on the line. They're just not.
In some cases, that's true.
It's tough, and they got to understand it's a game. It's not, it's not a job. It's a game. Your job is to be a good game manager, protect the children on the floor, because the bottom line is that's how you get sued if you don't.
Right.
And and the idea is to let everybody play to their ability.
Right.
Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But
right.
That's what seasoned guys like us, we always did that. We had little signs for each other to, ratchet it down if it's getting a little out of control, or grabbing our shirt when Jimmy missed one again, like, every game.
Well,
my shirt that I retired with had permanent wrinkles right here.
Well,
every game, baby.
well, I was a Spitfire, and I know that. And I look back on it. I wish the 63-year-old me could talk to the 25-year-old me. You know, because I would have done some things a lot differently. That's for sure. But live and learn. But that will always be a running joke with Jim and myself because he was there to witness all of it.
Yeah, we've all had some fun guys we worked with. I can tell you. Some of these guys, you know, they're just like, what? But when Jimmy was down a year, we ended up picking up a guy. What was he down? The AD or something from Fremont or the principal? And we were working in Toledo. Remember? And what was the first thing?
Jimmy Marquette, I think.
Yeah, Marquette.
Remember he got out of it for a while.
Yeah.
And then he got back in.
Yeah.
He says to me and Don, he goes, well, I'm going to ref tonight. He goes, and he goes through the whole spiel, and I'm like, whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. He goes, now, if it's a block charge and it's coming toward me, I got it. Don't say anything. Don't make any moves, whatever. Guess what the very first play was? Block charge right in front of him. And I had my arm up. He had his arm up, and he looked at me, and I'm like, I'm going off what you said, bro. I know what I got. You tell me what you got.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and
right.
We stood there for, it felt like a minute, you know, but obviously it was 2 seconds. You know, he finally comes out and we get together and he goes, yeah, you know, I had it. He goes, I was just waiting to see it. I'm like, look, this is what you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, but like us three, we never had issues. I mean, even if we did, we cover it or, you know, we'd always go with, you know, what was right for the game.
Right.
Not necessarily what was right in the book. You know, we always went with what was right for the game. So Don, you wanted to follow up with Dave's Norwalk situation.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, we stepped back there a second to touch on Plymouth again, but that was great timing, Jim, getting that in there before you got to fall away.
Yeah.
But after doing a great job as an assistant coach at Norwalk, you took another head coaching opportunity at Bucyrus, which at one time in the NOL, Bucyrus was a really great place to coach. But over the years, they saw their attendance drop and the amount of kids, the athletes over time. And, you know, it's happened to a lot of the communities along US 30 down there. You look at what happened to Mansfield and at Madison Township and that. And it just really hurt Bucyrus. So we go down there and we said, you know, he's a good coach. We'll see if he can turn it around because a couple of guys down there before him just couldn't get it kicked off. So
it was interesting because the year before I was on vacation in the summer and Phil Joseph, who ended up being my assistant varsity coach, and God rest his soul, we lost Phil last year, and it still hurts. But he called me, and that was when we were we had a pretty good team coming back at Norwalk. We had Scott Spettle coming back, and we had Ryan Gross coming back. So we had some guys that were pretty darn good basketball players, and I really wanted to see that through because I'd been working with those kids for the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I said, Phil, the timing's just not right now. I just want to stick it out at least this year, and then I might look to get into a head coaching situation again. Well, sure enough, Don Cooper, who was the AD at the time at Bucyrus, took the job for 1 year. And then they opened it up again, and it came open again, and I applied for it. I just had aspirations and goals, and I wanted to get an NOL head coaching job. That was always something that I aspired to do, and I just thought I knew Bucyrus was going to be a tough job, but it was a great community. It had great facilities. I mean, all the things were there, you know. The problem is it's landlocked. As you mentioned earlier, you got Crawford to the east, and you've got Winford to the west, and you don't draw from a huge enrollment, and it's only gotten worse, you know, since I left, and I've been gone a while. But schools never won a sectional championship in the history. I mean, you would think you could accidentally win one, you know, get a bye and win one, but we made strides. I mean, we made some improvements. We had some big wins when I was there. And like I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I enjoyed my time at Bucyrus. I love the community. I love the school system I taught in. It just got to the point, though, where I was getting frustrated, because it's like they were happy with 8-9 wins. And I'm like, man, I'm not happy with 8-9 wins. That's great. We're making improvements, but still 8 or 9 wins. And at the end of the day, you're judged on your win losses. I hate to say that, but that's the truth of the matter. They're not going to grade you on improvement. Although the people there were satisfied, I think, with the job that I had done, I wasn't satisfied, and I just was getting frustrated. And I thought, well, maybe I need to make a change. So I thought for a New York minute, I thought about getting out of coaching altogether and going back and getting my master's and getting into guidance counseling. And then I went over to Heidelberg and found out how many hours I was going to have to take in school. And I thought, oh, wait a second. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really care for school a whole lot when I was there. I didn't want to make a career out of it, So I thought, well, I don't know. So Brad Turson called me and said, hey, man, you want to come back? You can come back and be a volunteer assistant for me if you still want to coach. And why not? So I went back to Plymouth for 1 year. In between Bucyrus and Winford. I went back. I still taught in Bucyrus, but I coached at Plymouth as an assistant one more time, encore performance. But my daughter was going into high school at the time. So I thought that'd be a great time. She was a cheerleader. I'd be able to see her more often and so on and so forth. So I went back for a year and had a great year with those guys. Really enjoyed working with Brad again, because Brad was my assistant for 2 years at Plymouth earlier. So now I was his assistant. He did a great job. He was fantastic coach. So I enjoyed my time there. And then that summer, Rob Sheldon saw me in United Dairy Farmer. But I was getting a coffee, and he was taking his youngest son to the orthodontist appointment. And as Rob could only do, he said, you're only going to get one more chance to work for me. So you better not blow it this time, see, because he called me after Brad offered me the job. And at that
I've heard that voice in the past.
Yes.
He
said, he goes, I'm going to offer you a paid position. He goes, I'm only asking one more time. So if you screw this one up, I'm done with you. I said, Coach, show me where to sign. So the rest is history. And I spent 7-8 years at Winford as an assistant under Rob for 3 years and under Tim Ersman for 4. And they were 7 marvelous, memorable years. That's for certain. We had a lot of success and had a lot of great kids out there. And I learned an awful lot and just had a ball the whole time I was there.
Yeah, Robbie's the best, man. We actually talk about him a lot on the show.
Yeah.
We loved working for Rob.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of a kind, man.
Yes, he was.
One of a kind.
He was a great friend, great coach, great mentor. And I wouldn't trade those years for anything. I was with him the last 3 years of his career. So, and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of success. And I really got to see it kind of helped my confidence. And I'm not saying this to be egotistical by any means, but I remember one practice. We had run some drills that I had done at Bucyrus, and we were running them at Winford. And he walks over, he goes, isn't it great to see these drills actually work? I said, yeah.
Yeah, that's Rob, all right.
That's Rob, and
that's it.
And he gave me a lot of freedom to coach, and I learned an awful lot, and it really boosted my confidence. And I was off and running and enjoyed my time there. And then when Rob stepped down, Tim Ersman wanted the position, and I stayed on because Tim and I had a great relationship, and he and Lee Rowlandson and myself, the three of us, worked together, and we had some really good years.
Well, I know Rob was always great with us. He'd always like to try to be in the back there when we came in the door to have something to say right out of the gate. And then, on the floor, he always had some. I used to love it because the fans would be going like absolutely ape crap. And he, give it to him, Rob, give it to him. Because, he's like talking to us.
Yeah.
Animatedly.
Like, hey, yeah.
Oh,
he'd
yeah.
be like, where are you guys going to eat after the game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was Rob.
I know.
Like, hey,
I had a front row seat for all that, Rick. I'm telling you, and it was absolutely, it was a hoot. And I mean, we could tell. I mean, he and Robbie Lee and he and Chris Gutman. Holy smokes, there was some times I'm like, oh, only Rob could get away with what he's getting away with. You know?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we loved them though, and you know, and the boys. You know, we had such a good time with Chris and Dave. On the show, and you know, talking about their dad, and you know, we actually watched those kids grow up. I mean, we reffed those guys, and it was kind of fun to, you know, you know, what they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No,
that's kind of what those boys are like.
No, but they're marvelous coaches, both of them. Chris and David both do.
They are great coaches.
They do a great job with their programs, and you know, proofs of the pudding. But yeah, there's a good bloodline there, that's for certain.
Well, it had to be a great time, and you had that chance you were looking for. That back home called.
Yeah. I was dating my then wife, my soon-to-be wife, Kathy, and she was Kathy Rosso. So she was from Willard. Her dad's a doctor. Her brother was our team doctor.
Yeah.
She's a pharmacist in town. She had 4 daughters, and there was no way she was moving to Crawford County. I mean, she was set in Willard. She's a Willard girl, born and raised. And I could understand that. You know, you couldn't uproot your family, move them away, because her 2 oldest were going into high school at the time. So it just so happened Noss was leaving. He took the Olentangy Liberty job, and the Willard job came open, and I applied, and I got it, and I was very fortunate to get it. But yeah, I got to come home, and you know, I had applied for it once before when Noss got it. I was in the hunt. I didn't get it. My dad was superintendent at the time. That would have probably raised some eyebrows if I would have gotten the position with my dad being the superintendent, even though that was his last year. He was going to retire. But anyway, I applied in 2008 and got the position, and been here ever since.
Yeah, I actually Noss and I had we had Willard and Shelby in district final, and I was the guy that had to go tell Noss that off the jump ball, Langhurst took the ball. The ball was tipped to him. He grabbed the ball and stepped out of bounds with it. So not only does Willard lose the ball, they lose the arrow. Yeah, I was the most popular guy in Willard for the first half. I can tell you that. And it wasn't even my call. I was like,
you were going out. You were going out for a beer at the varsity club that night, were you?
No, hell no. I walked over. I was like, he goes, "What? I've never heard such a thing." I'm like, "I'm just telling you what he's telling me, coach.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want me to do."
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, Willard. We just had Nick Dials on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nick was such a man. What an interview. What a great guy. He was absolutely hilarious. But you know, he was the epitome of Willard and what it took to win. I mean, that guy, every open gym, he was talking about all over the place. You know, and
yeah,
I mean, he was one of the guys that kind of set the tone for Willard basketball.
Yeah, he did. It certainly did in the early 2000s. Now his uncle John Willoughby, he was
that group. Jim
John
Knable and
Jimmy and John and I were good friends in high school, and still good friends. In fact, John just coached his 900th game last night.
Wow,
he's still coaching.
He's at Sydney coaching.
I lost track of him when he was at Russia.
Well, no, he was at Houston. He left Houston.
Houston, okay, that's the other. That's the other one that looked like Houston.
You're right,
Houston.
right.
Yeah. I was
Russia
thinking it was
looks
Russia.
like Russia. Yeah. So he left Houston after like 33, 34 years, and then we had our 40th class reunion. It was during COVID, so we had to have it. Our 41st was actually our 40th, and I was
done that.
Yeah, and I was talking to him, and he was talking about he was going to retire but still continue to coach, and that's what he's done. So my girlfriend decided today, when she saw that, because I was raving about that being John's 900th, so she went back and did a count on how many games I've been a part of in my career.
Oh my!
And I think I've coached now, not as a head coach, mind you, but as a head coach / assistant, 836.
Wow.
And I had to take those 4 years off when my wife got sick. So I was off for 4 years, but that's pretty good. 836. I said, 836 nauseous Friday and Saturday nights.
Oh yeah.
I
So
said,
you-
don't add up the losses, though. You might need more than a calculator.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite memories here before we close the show of
Oh, geez.
coaching, or maybe kids, or
Oh,
maybe like, the
we'd have
epitome
to
of where
we'd
you're
have to
at?
do another 2-hour podcast, Rick. You know, just so many great kids and coaches and guys that were mentors when I came in, the Steve Grays of the world,
Right.
the Rob Sheldons, the Steve Moores, the Dave Fralics, the Joe Baylogs, the relationships that you establish with other
Sure.
coaches, the guys now, we mentioned Chris and David, and there's so many. And the slate shot when I was at Wentford my first year, we beat Ontario in the district final on a half-court shot that Matt Slate made, and they had never beat Ontario. And that's when Ontario had Benji Hall and that crew, and they were really good. And that group of seniors had never beat Ontario, and we upset them that night. And then we beat Liberty Benton in the regionals, and then we lost in the regional finals to Wayne Trace. Had we have beat Wayne Trace, we would have gone on to play LeBron in the state semifinals.
Oh,
yeah. So as far as runs, that was one of the more memorable runs.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Plymouth, we hit a full court shot to beat state ranked St. Pete at our place, and the place just went bananas. And it was a big win for our school at that time, because they hadn't beat St. Pete in years, and things of that nature. When I was at Norwalk, going to the districts, that was great. And then of course here at Willard, we made a regional run a few years ago. We made it to the Sweet 16, and that group of juniors, I believe that year, had only won 1 or 2 games when they were freshmen. So, I mean, the turnaround in that short amount of time was mind-boggling. But I could go on all day. But just the relationships, the guy I'm working with now, Joe Bedingfield, is fantastic, doing a fantastic job. And, and fortunately, I think he may keep me around for another year or 2 or 3 after I retire, I hope anyway, because I really enjoy working with him, and I enjoy working with the kids that we have here at Willard. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Hey, before I forget, I bought the book, by the way.
Hey.
Yeah, I bought it like when it first came out. I can't find it. I got so many books, but I started reading it. But if you ask anybody that knows me, I usually start anywhere from 23 to 24 books and never finish any of them. So I do have it bookmarked where I'm at. So I promise if you guys ever let me on the show again, I will have the book finished and I will give you a review.
Well, if you can't find it, Dave, let us know. Yeah. We'll send you one.
Okay, that sounds good.
You got something, Jimmy?
Yeah, I said I just was talking to Dave when he told me that he bought it. And I thought, well, if he was going to come over into Norwalk at any time, let me know ahead of time. And I had one that we had signed, and we could just switch.
Yeah,
and
you did say that.
Yeah, never made any connection, and hell, it's still there. Anytime.
Shamrock's gone.
Yeah, well, we can find another place.
Office Bar's still there.
Yeah.
Still there. So my other
Just
old
the
house
stones
is still there. Hey,
the stones in the driveway.
But you guys remember, like I don't know, like when I was in school, elementary school, they had reading groups, and they identified them with birds. Like if you were a really good reader, you were a cardinal.
Yeah.
If you were above average reader, you were a blue jay. If you're average, you were a robin. All right. My buddy JD, John Danhoff, who's Dave Danhoff's brother, he and I were woodpeckers. That's the other reason why I haven't got the book read yet, because I don't read real quickly, put it that way. But anyway,
the great thing about our book is they're like little short stories.
Yeah, that's good.
So it doesn't make any difference if you read it all at once. I think the feedback we've had is, even people that aren't in the area that know the names of these schools that sometimes we do name in the book.
Yeah.
They'd be like, there's a school just like that, or there's a van just like that, or we had a situation sort of like that, and a lot of it's the stuff we pulled on Jim too, where he's always crying about us picking on him and stuff. You know how that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he don't bring it on himself. All you have to do is watch the show.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
yeah.
you guys have never thought about coming back to ref then, huh? You're
I-
done
Hey,
forever.
I always told them if they'd go to 4, I could set at one end underneath the basket, and the second end I'd go the other way. Let
Yeah.
the
Kind of what
young
he
bucks.
did with us.
Yes,
Yeah.
what he did with
Yeah,
us.
right.
Some stuff never
See,
changes.
My late father-in-law, Doc Rosso, who I'm sure you guys heard if you ever reffed at Willard, because he was one of the guys that was always pretty vocal. But Doc always thought that they should have you guys up in a high chair like they do like at Wimbledon at the tennis matches.
Be easier to see.
Jimmy, that'd be perfect for you. You could just sit up in one of those high chairs and do
Hell
your
yeah.
thing up there, you know?
Wait a minute.
Well,
Talking like I'm a little kid up there.
I will tell you this. It's funny. It's funny you say that, because a couple of days ago we were talking to somebody, and they were just at a game, a local game, and they were asking like, what happened to us? Like me and Don and Jim is like, where are you? Where did they just, and they're like, well, we need those guys back. We actually, I had the South Central coach a couple of years ago. He had the kids out to rec, and he came up to me. He goes, look, what's it going to take to get you guys back?
Right.
And I'm like, well, we're kind of done now. I mean, Don's in South Carolina.
My travel cost to be a little high.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're like, they're just not, the way you guys were, and we're like, and I try to tell the coaches, first of all, we were the broke-in models that you guys saw.
Right.
We had, 35, 40 years in a piece, I mean, you're not going to get that right out of the box. And it's and I don't know that they always cruise either, to be honest with you, Dave. I know we did, but I don't know if some of the younger guys do. We watched, like I said, we watched a couple of games, and you see like one guy with a different group and another guy with I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like a team. You gotta have that chemistry. Like, I knew what Don was looking for.
Right.
And I knew what Jimmy was looking for with his one good eye. And, I mean, we knew what to cover when he was on that side of the floor.
Right.
We're like, Jim can't see that. There's no way. And, like the night that Don came walking toward me, talking to his fists, and he had something called a false double foul, and I thought he was having a stroke. And, one of those things, but we know how to cover for one another. And
right.
We all officiated the same kind of game, though. We wanted the kids to play.
Right.
I mean, they should be the ones winning and losing the game, not us. Don't make us do that.
Right. Hey, real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys this. They're kicking around a 30-second shot clock in high school.
Sure.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'm going to give you the same thing that I always talk about when we did it in football. Okay.
Yeah.
We were at the beginning of that. It took a little bit for people to know how to reset the clock.
Right.
When to reset the clock. And you have to have a separate person to do the clock. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
But there's going to be, you talk about a learning curve. Don, you remember football, what that learning curve was like. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. You had to have
it was like,
it was harder to run. And I had 10 years experience of that when I was doing women's college ball, because we had I think our shot clock was a little less than the men's was in the women's game. And a lot of places you go to now, these Division III schools, the NAIA schools, they might have a student worker running that thing.
Yeah.
And you had to keep your eye on it. It's going to be hard to find people that run that because of the intricacies of that, and knowing how to reset it, like on an out of bounds. Is it going to reset for the time left, or reset to 20? Or if there's a reason, there's a foul, so you're going to get the ball in your own front court. You don't get the full time because you don't have to go across the half court. It's 20 for that. All kinds of things. I was in a game today where they had to reset it a couple times at the end of a quarter. At the end of it might have been the end of the game. They went into overtime, but it was at 0.2 as they stopped play for an out of bounds. And I was telling Susie, I said, and my sister-in-law, I said, this is going to have to be a tap play. And they said, what's that? I said, you can't catch the ball and shoot.
Right.
It's like a rebound tip is all you have time for at point 2. Well, they were over during the whole timeout. They were overlooking, and what they have to look at is that monitor has about 6 or 8 small, like we're looking at here at each other, smaller pictures that some of them have the game clock and the they can reconstruct things by breaking it down in like a 20th of a second. That little thing. So they come back, they reset the shot clock from point 2 to point 9, which is pretty substantial in an end of game situation.
Wow.
But can you imagine at the high school level, you're not going to have all that video replay stuff to set it and set it right so that the coaches can't complain about it. If you had that situation where you had to reset a shot clock from point 2 to point 9 at the end of a quarter or the end of a game, you'd have one side of that building ready to come down your throats.
Right.
Because you're doing it by taking a well-educated guess.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? It's going to be a tough thing to get it, to get it and have quality people do that. There's a lot more to look for.
I had heard that they were going to train like the JV officials would travel with the varsity officials like they used to in the old days.
Yeah.
And then a JV official would do it during the varsity game, and the varsity official would do it during the JV game. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I think it's a lot of
the thing, Rick, as a coach, what worries me about it is going to take the David out of David and Goliath, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for a smaller school or a school not as talented to stay in games with, like, for instance, a Margaretta. And if you're playing a Margaretta or you're playing a Colonel Crawford, a couple of these juggernauts right now, and you're low on talent. And it's like, okay, you got to do everything in the world. You got to pull all kinds of rabbits out of your hat to stay in the game as it is. But now you're up against the shot clock. So delay tactics, end of quarter situations, things are going to change a lot there. I know I'm speaking for Joe, but Joe and I aren't for it. I don't know. But maybe, and the thing is, are we going to do it at the middle school level? That's the other thing, because there's enough.
There you go.
Are you allowed to swear on this podcast?
Sure.
Jimmy does.
There's enough. Seriously, there's enough piss poor basketball sometimes with guys trying to, they come down the floor and chuck up a horrible shot. I mean, I see it every day when I'm breaking down film. I'm going, what the hell are they thinking? And sometimes it's our guys. But there's enough piss poor basketball that now you're going to put 30 seconds and you're going to expect good shot selection, that kind of stuff, good time management. I just don't know. Maybe I'm just a dinosaur talking.
That's another aspect of the game I think we can do without at the high school level, and still the game will thrive and be fine. And those kids will adapt to it.
Right.
Sure.
Those that play at the next level, because those schools that they play at have people that know how to run that thing.
Yeah.
And there'll be an easier transition for them. And I don't think there's all that many possessions in the high school game anymore that really go beyond 30, whatever they choose for high school.
That's true too. That's true too, Don. And going back, you guys were reffing before 3-point line, and I was coaching before 3-point line, and when that came about, everybody's like, oh my gosh. But I was a big fan of the ABA, so I was all for the 3-point line.
Ready for it?
Bring out the red, white, and blue balls too while we're at it.
Well, we went over to Old Fort to referee, and that's where University of Tiffin played at the time.
Yeah.
And so they had a broken yellow line around the college 3-point arc. And you watch all the kids that are warming up for the high school games, they're all bombing from behind the 3-point line.
Yeah.
They're not stroking like they do during a game. They're throwing them up from out there.
Right.
Hey, Jimmy, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just up to the St. Paul Monroeville game last night. I got there about middle of the third quarter, and the game went into overtime. But going into the first overtime, they threw up a shot, they blew the whistle, time had ran out. Now they're getting together and they're talking over by the scores table. All of a sudden, they had the one kid getting ready to shoot with the lane clean. Next thing you know, you look up and there's 0.3 of a second. I'm thinking, how did they put 0.3 of a second back up there? So they brought the the players back in, they lined up and everything. Kid bricks it. We go to the first overtime. But I was just trying to figure out, how did they put 0.3 of a second?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out.
Without seeing video, Jim, it's near impossible unless one guy's looking at the clock. I mean,
Right.
I honestly,
No, that's good, but it was a 2-man. It was a 2-man,
well,
and when the shot was taken, there, you know, the horn went. You could hear it. It was just a matter of it bounced, so it would go in, but it bounced and it bounced away, and both teams went to their benches, and the kid that got fouled went to the foul line. And next thing you know, they're over by the scores table, and next thing you know, I see 0.3 of a second. People around me were going, "How'd they do that?" I said, that would be a question that I'd like to know.
I don't know. I tell you, but I know from now, you know, with the shot clock, we'll go back to that first. With that, I know with the play clock, when we brought that into football, holy smokes, was that a nightmare? Especially for back judges. Like, well, I back judged some, Don did mostly, you know, and it was a nightmare to try to deal with. So, and that's just, you know, one play at a time. Could you imagine a high-speed basketball game with a shot clock? Whoa, I mean, that would be tough. But now the red light backboard, I would be for that. If it was timed correctly, I would be absolutely for a red light backboard.
Sure. Very helpful.
I agree.
You know, other than that, I think a shot clock in high school basketball, I don't think it really is going to help any.
Hey.
I mean, it's going to keep kids. It's going to keep, like you said, the weaker, you know, David teams from doing, like, you know, a spread offense. Well, you know, Clear Fork used to be the kings of that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We put out Clear Fork, and, you know, they'd be playing Mansfield Senior and some of these more athletic teams, and boy, they'd spread that ball out and pick, and they'd swing that ball around, and they would limit how many offensive possessions Senior, Orville, teams like that they would get. And, you know, hey, those games are close down to the end, and, you know, like it or don't like it, you know, I think that's great strategy. And, you know, if a coach is smart enough to do that, why not?
Yeah, Holgate would have never won the state a few years ago. Paul Wayne, man, he was the master.
Yes,
playing,
that's right.
Playing keep away, man. It was a lot of people thought it was scribbling, but I thought it was a Picasso, man. It was colored by numbers. Those guys they were masterful at it. And I know it may have been boring basketball, but, you know, Tommy Durham would have loved it back in the day if we'd have done that at Norwalk, because he'd have made it to happy hour by then.
Hey, let me tell you, Dave, as officials, we don't mind that clock running.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, we don't get paid by the hour.
One more rule. The NBA rule I like, believe it or not. It's one of the few things in the NBA I like. If you got a timeout left, you can move the ball up into the front court.
Sure.
Side out. I wish we could adapt that rule.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm okay with that.
That would be okay, because there's a lot of cool side out bounce plays that you could run in a situation like that. So if you got a timeout left, there's 4 seconds on the clock, boom, move that baby up to the front court, run your side out, and go win the game.
Yeah, we're good with that.
That would be kind of exciting, I think. But
yeah, I think we're all good with that. We would love it. I mean, for us, you know, believe it or not, I mean, people don't, you know, as officials, you know, they're like, oh, you guys just want to get out. We love intense basketball games.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, and I've told this many times, I can remember going on the floor, even at 35 years experience, and with a packed house and everything's on the line, and you get like little butterflies still, you know, that tells you actually give a crap about the game.
Yeah.
You know, and you're in it, you know, and you're in it for the national anthem, and and we talked about that several other shows. We would talk to all the fans, not all of them, but the fans, you know, like the old guys that sit in the front at every game.
Yeah.
You know, we'd always say, now, if we miss anything, you let us know. All right. You know, and then you're like, yeah, they're on your side, you know, Jimmy giving the ball to the little guys, you know, running around. I mean, we made it a game for us, you know, it wasn't about a paycheck. It was about, you know, we put in the hard work. You guys put in the hard work, you know,
absolutely.
We want to make this the best experience for everybody, and hopefully the fans took it that way. You know, not always.
No, I know, but They're never happy with us either. I remember telling Mr. Dowdy when I was interviewing for the job here, he said, "You got anybody in mind, for an assistant's position?" I said, "Hell, that would be easy." I said, "Willard's got anywhere from 800 to 1,000 assistants every Friday, Saturday night. I'll have my pick of the litter. Who knows, But yeah, that's just how it is, man. It's just that's what we sign on for.
Yeah.
You guys as officials,
Dave,
us as coaches. So yeah.
On behalf of Jimmy and I, we got to tell you, when we were still wet behind the ears and working our way through a JV schedule, and actually we were starting to work some varsity games in the Firelands and maybe the SBC, or maybe from Mark Heyman down there, the what's the N10 now? It was,
at North Central.
Yeah, North
SBC,
Central
baby.
We get a call from Mac Morrison.
Yes.
And he's got a couple of JV dates. He goes, "Guys, you're going to get more out of working these JV games than you're going to get from working those small school games." And then we knew that was true. So what's he do with us every year? Willard Bellevue.
Yep.
Willard Bellevue. I think we went 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Doing those Willard Bellevue games in there. And Jack Trevine, who used to work at Scores Table there.
Yep.
He'd come in. He was like a great uncle that would come in and talk to you about the officiating. Always had a story about my dad's cousin Carmen, who was the priest over at St. X over there, and then your dad.
Yes.
He would always come in and give us the kind of critique that built your confidence.
Yeah.
And the old timers around the NOL were that way.
Yeah.
And Willard just had an abundance of them. And it was always, he never hated giving up a night in, a date for a varsity game to go to an NOL JV game, because he put us on one that counted, and it really helped us get better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Don, I got to tell you this story, man, because I was telling these guys a story. You may not remember this, but if you don't, I'm shocked that you did. Don came to my wedding, or my wedding reception in Norwalk when Ellen and I got married. Do you remember that, Don? You still with me?
Yeah. I'm thinking. I did.
You and Smitty. It was at the VFW the wedding reception. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Setting the tone.
Got it.
It was a wedding reception / going away party, because I had just taken the job at Bucyrus. So it was a year or two later. Don's doing, I think, my Tiffin game. It was a close game. I think we ended up winning. But at one point I got pissed. I said, "Gosh darn it, Don," I said, "you can guarantee you won't be invited to my third wedding." Never dreaming that there would be a third wedding, but my God, there was. But we went off to Vegas, so it doesn't matter. But
amazing.
I felt bad when I said that. Got the heat of the moment stuff, because I think we ended up winning. So whatever. But yeah, it was the things you say and do sometimes in the heat of battle.
Yeah.
It's
what do you got, Jim?
I did my invitation get lost in the mail?
Jimmy, I don't know. I think Don came with Don Wood and Smitty. I think you guys had to take him off to the side. If I recall. That was a long time ago. That was August of '95, man. That was a long time. I don't know, Jim.
Hey, look,
that's okay.
I couldn't tell you.
I just put the 50 back in my back pocket. So
there you go.
That's all right.
Well, I've kept
you guys got anything
forever.
You guys got anything for Dave before we close out here?
I think the laughter's been plentiful tonight, and it's I knew it would be.
Yes.
A lot of good stories, and good for people that don't know the Dave Hirschy that we know, to see where he's been, what he's done, and just keeps coming back to the sport he loves. He's a hell of a coach. He's and he said he's one of the best assistant coaches in this part of the state, and there are a lot of very good assistant coaches. Some of them have retired since, but a very important part of the game, both at probably more so at practice than even at games, because they have a tendency to sit and not say a lot during a game. but at practice, they're invaluable for what they're teaching
Well,
kids.
I appreciate the kind words, Don, and you're right. There are a lot of great assistants out there that work hard, and you always like to have assistants that strive to be a head coach. But in my case, maybe a guy who was a head coach who's now on the backstage or the back part of everything in their lives, and I still enjoy it. Like today, right before you guys came on air, I was still cutting film on Edison today because that's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy doing. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. It's a labor of love. And Joe Bedingfield is, and much like Rob Sheldon, much like Brad Turson, much like Ken Brose, much like Dave Dunn, they've allowed me to coach through the years. Tim Ayersman, those guys allowed me to coach and allowed my input, and I'm indebted to them forever. But I appreciate guys like you too, guys, because I know how hard you guys worked at your craft. You know, all those summers doing the summer games and so forth, and you know, you guys didn't have to do that, but you guys were there honing your craft and trying to do the best job you possibly could.
Well, that's when you get better. You know,
Yeah,
you don't get
right.
better during the season.
Right.
So 42 years,
Mhm.
you're going to wrap up the in-school stuff
Mhm.
at the end of this semester.
Yep. I'll be done in July, actually. So I can, because I have some extended time in June, and then you have to be off the grounds for 60 days. So that'll allow me to at least
before
do
you
the
can do
June
something.
basketball.
Yeah.
I can still do that, and I'll have to be off. And August is dead period anyway, so I'll be off July and August, and then hopefully
all
be
we have
back
to
right
is
after Labor Day. So.
get a couple of you veterans on the substitute list. Maybe someday you and Steve Sillo can hook up and walk into the middle school and cause a little disturbance out there.
Watch the walls cave in if the two of us came walking in. But no, I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. I don't really have any. I may not do anything for about a year.
There you go.
That's a great idea. It'd give you a different observation.
Yeah,
on what
there's
really
a lot
counts,
of
what really
there's a lot of
matters.
things.
And
Yeah, there's a lot of things I need to get done around the house. So I'll work on those things, and then winter, you know, coaching will keep me busy. So I'll be happy with
There
that.
you
But I've had a fantastic career. I'm really lucky. So appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dave. We appreciate
Thanks for
you coming
having
on
me.
the show. Go and enjoy the Bears game now. I think it's on. I think the Patriots just took care of everything. And
Did they? Okay.
boy, was that a snowy game! Holy smokes!
Yeah, I knew it was picking up there.
I don't
Well,
miss
welcome to
repping in
New
that
England
crap.
at the second half of January.
I'm rooting for the Rams tonight, and it's only, you know, usually I root for the Central Division, but the way Ben Johnson acted towards Green Bay and so forth, some of his shenanigans,
Yeah,
the heck with it. Go Rams. Go Matthew
there you
Stafford.
go, baby. All right, take care, Dave.
Hey, guys, you take care,
Hey,
man.
great
Thanks for
having you.
me. Great seeing you guys. Take
Good luck
care.
to the Flashes.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's it. So
I wanted to tell him that we had his buddy Danucci in the background.
But hey, we went into overtime on this one, and
we
nobody.
did.
Huh?
So
Yeah.
all right, everybody, thanks for watching. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you with the next show. Hopefully, we'll have some more interesting folks, and we'll go from there.
Yep.